What's up, and welcome to a very special episode of Brewing Through the Multiverse. I'm Mike, and it's only me today. Um, it is 5:53 in the morning. I woke up playing Magic and realized that I have way too much to say about Standard to force the other hosts to listen to this for the entirety of our next episode, which should be tomorrow. So I'm making a little special episode that I'm calling Jammin' Jank in Standard. I'm going to be going over 3 decks that I built, what I like about them, why I built them, and let you know some things that you could do with this new set. A little problem that I came into is there are so many sets in Standard right now that it's hard to let these shine. So I've really been forcing and testing and tinkering. I got laid off this week for the week, so I've had all the time in the world to play Magic and make knives. So let's talk Magic. I'm going to be pulling up my screen here. Okay. Hopefully this is all up for y'all. And I'm going to start with the first one that I intended to build, which is around Mendicant Core. It is a blue-white deck. So Mendicant Core Guide Light is a white-blue star 3 legendary creature robot. Its power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. It has start your engines, and a max speed is whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1. If you do, copy it. I really like this card. This was the first card I wanted to build around, see if I can make it work. We have to start engines, which means we have to be aggro, and blue-white typically isn't very aggro. This was the hardest part of this deck. I really didn't get this working until last night. My biggest issue is I didn't have enough start your engine to make this worth it. And when you drop him, typically he gets removed. So my way of starting engines was Mendicant Core, and I also have 4 Maragonda Raceways. The problem is if you drop a Maragonda Raceway, you can't turn 2 drop Mendicant Core. So what I was doing was Maragonda Raceway and then dropping a Ginger Brute. That way, turn 1, I start my engine, I attack. I'm now at engine 2 on turn 1. It wasn't working. So I had to look in a little bit on what other start your engine cards are, and this uncommon nesting bot ended up being the star of the show. He starts your engines on turn 1 also, which means you could drop a white land and have him start it. Great thing is when he dies, he makes another 1/1. So even if he gets blocked, or if you have to use him as a blocker for some, swifty aggro coming at you, he's going to make another 1/1 to attack. The next thing that we really need to highlight is Salvation Engine. This is kind of how you win. So 4 in a white, other artifact creatures you control get +2/+2. Whenever this vehicle attacks, return up to 1 target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Crew is 6, but pretty much all your creatures are going to be 5/4s, 3/3s, 6/2s. So it's not really a problem crewing him. The best thing is making a copy of him with Mendicant Core, but that's not always the thing. Mendicant Core is 5 mana notably, so Chamil can discover into it. Our removal in this is 4 Get Losts in order to handle temporary lockdown is something I've seen a lot of, which is locking down all of my little equipment, my little artifacts here, so I can get rid of that. Planeswalkers, creatures, whatever I need to do. You can also target your own creature if you need more artifacts in order for Mendicant Core to deal damage. Perilous Snare is another removal that I absolutely love. So it's 2 and a white. When this artifact enters, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until this artifact leaves the battlefield. You can get rid of anything. Planeswalkers, artifacts, whatever you need. It also has max speed of tap to put a 1/1 counter on target creature or a vehicle you control. It's great for pumping up little guys. Now, that's the other thing too. The hardest part of winning this is your group of creatures here. You have the Ginger Brutes, the Mendicant Cores, Mandible Justicars in order to get a little bit of life gain, Scroll and Crawlers, and Thron Spiders. So nothing here is really going to kill. But if you're pumping them up a little bit and then Salvation Engine comes out, you'll be okay. It's going to get through. Scroll and Crawler is a hidden gem. I know I talk about him nonstop, but the thing is, on your upkeep, he will draw you an extra card, deal 1 damage to the opponent because they draw a card, and that will continue to push you up your engine. So if there's ever a point where you can't swing through with the Ginger Brute because your opponent's creatures have haste, you can't get through with a Mandible Justicar because they have a 5/5 or something like that, Scroll and Crawler will continue to tick up your goods. Thrawn Spider is a perfect way to get 2 artifacts out for cheap. When it enters, it makes the Power Stone. It has the reach. If you have a Salvation Engine out, it's going to be a 4/6, a great blocker for anything coming at you in the air. And board wipes. You're going to need board wipes because this is not that explosive. This is not that powerful. You're going to need a few board wipes. And I don't mind blowing up my own stuff because once Salvation Engine is out, I can return them all from my graveyard once I'm swinging. That's pretty much it. This deck really isn't that impressive. Stern Lesson is my drawing. It does make a Power Stone while I draw. I get to put a creature in my graveyard for my Salvation Engine to come up. I can't say how powerful Salvation Engine is. Like, really awesome card for 5 mana to pump all artifact creatures, and then you can return stuff back. It's a banger. I don't know if it's just because this deck is completely built around it, but it's a sure way to win, or at least put enough pressure. Hopefully you've done some damage by then if you're trying to be aggro and get that engine at max speed. So, and then I have a Portal to Phyrexia because why not? When you're making enough Power Stones and you drop this thing, it's always a good time. Cityscape Leveler, since it can be cast from graveyard, it does have Unearth. It is 8. You can always get it. And then Chamil. Can't say enough good things about Chamil. Notably, your spells can't be countered. So suddenly, you don't have to worry about that baloney. Murgonda Raceway, tapping for 2 mana pretty early is huge for getting Salvation Engine out on turn 4. I definitely have done that. You turn 1, Murgonda Raceway with the Ginger Brute. Boop. You swing in, you're at 2. Turn 2, you drop anything else, keep going. Perilous Snare the thing out of your way, and easily have a Salvation Engine out turn 4. So that is my engine core, is what I call this, because of the Salvation Engine and the Mendicant core. It was fun. I recommend it. If there's any cards I'm missing, please let me know, because I could really use a little boost on that one. The next deck that I built is a Golgari standard insects from the grave that drive cars. So last episode, we were actually talking about Debris Beetle. Everyone agreed this is a pretty cool card. 2 black, green for a vehicle. It's a 6/6 with crew 2, which is awesome. When this vehicle enters, each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. That was the goal. I want to build around this. Let's see what we can do. The first thing I decided to go for was the Thunderous Velocipede. This is the card that I said wasn't that great. But not that it wasn't that great. I thought it did something unreal. It's still a very good card. It's 1 green for a 5 mana 5/5, crew 3, trample. Each other vehicle and creature that enters that's power 4 or less is going to get a 1/1 counter. If it's 5 or more, it's going to get 3 1/1 counters on it. What we had talked about is having Atchik, the Emerald Radiant, which is a 6 mana, 3 black, green, 3/3. When it enters, create a 1/1 green insect creature token for each artifact and or creature card in your graveyard. Then whenever another insect you control dies, put a 1/1 counter on Atchik. Each opponent loses 1 life. This is a huge card. I've been so impressed with how this works. If you do have the Thunderous Velocipede out, this is coming out as a 6/6. All of the insects are going to have 1/1 counters on them, and then when they die, they'll be putting another 1/1 counter on Atchik as well as draining. I played against a Jace mill deck, and they milled half of my library, and then I dropped Atchik with 14 insects. They did Sunfall next turn. I never got to use any of them, and I did lose immediately, but it felt pretty good to get 14 2/2s out. And then obviously the exile meant no one lost any life on that either. So turn one, Haywire Might is an insect. It's a little 1/1 for 1. And when this creature dies, gain 2 life. That's huge. You could also pay green to sacrifice this creature, exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. So any artifact or enchantment, I have used this to get rid of the Phyrexian portal or that 9/9 that I was running in the other deck. It's fun. And then you get rid of whatever you need to, temporary lockdowns, whatever it is. And yeah, you could even get rid of the Sunfall token too. It's a 1/1, but it does its job and it'll be okay. Now, Lifecraft Engine, in the last episode, we were talking about how to make our Thunderous Velocipede and our Debris Beetle actually insects. So Lifecraft Engine is a 3-mana 4/4 vehicle. When it enters, choose a creature type, which would be insect. Vehicle creatures you control are the chosen creature type in addition to their other types. Each creature you control of the chosen type other than this vehicle gets +1/+1. So it pumps everything. Those insects that come in with that chick are 2/2s. If you have a Lifecraft Engine out, they're 3/3s. If they're only 1/1s, now they're still a 2/2. I really like this card. It's not the strongest. It's something, if I was to cut from here, this might be the card I cut because it's kind of a win more. Everything else is doing what it needs to do. But I wanted to make sure everything was an insect. Debris Beetle should be an insect, as Troy had stated. Some other vehicles that I have in here is I have Hedge Shredder. So Hedge Shredder is 2 green for a 5/5. This is from Duskmourn. This is not a AetherDrift card. And it says, when this vehicle attacks, I may mill 2 cards. Now I'm trying to get things in the graveyard, so this is good on its own. Its crew is only 1, so 4-mana 5/5 crew 1 that mills 2 cards is great. When 1 or more land cards are put into your graveyard from your library, put them onto the battlefield tapped. Huge. Now, it's not just from milling 2 from Hedge Shredder. It's anything else I do that puts things into graveyards. So when I'm casting Say Its Name, if I hit 3 lands, I just ramped 3. Let's see. There's a few other ways that I mill here. So we have Broodheart Engine, which is at the beginning of your upkeep, Surveil 1. And then you could pay 4 mana and tap it to sacrifice it to return creature or vehicle card from my graveyard to the battlefield. Activate as a sorcery, but I mean, I could get anything out. If I get an Altanic out, which is the 9/9 for 7, I can sacrifice my Broodheart Engine for 4. Get that out. If I cast Atchik, get a whole bunch of insects, and then they kill Atchik, I will sacrifice my Broodheart Engine and get Atchik again, getting even more insects. Now, while I'm making insect tokens, the Swarm Weaver is a 4-mana 2/3 legendary scarecrow from Duskmourn also. When it enters, it's going to make 2 insects of its own. Notably, all these insects are flying. That alone is huge. It has Delirium as long as there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, which, again, we're doing a lot for that. Insects and spiders I control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. It is another way to pump your insects. So if you have out a Thunderous Velocipede and you have out a Lifecraft Engine and you cast your Atchik and everything has +1/+1s, Swarm Weaver is going to put out more. They're going to have another +1/+1 and Death Touch. They're all flying. That alone is a win con. The vehicles are huge. I mean, how many times you swing with a Thunderous Velocipede or a Hedge Shredder, and what are they going to do? Block it? You lose it, but you don't lose any creatures. The other vehicle that I have is Carrion Cruiser. It's 2 and a black, 3/2. When this vehicle enters, mill 2 cards. Here's another way to get more cards in. Then return a creature card or vehicle card from your graveyard to your hand. It's crew 1. So Haywire can ride this baby. Again, just more ways to get creatures into your graveyard, more ways to get creatures out that you want out of your graveyard. Notably, I have done Say Its Name on turn 2, hit 2 Say Its Names, and gotten out an Altanac on turn 2. It was immediately destroyed, but it happened. That's a real thing. So, heck yeah, I love it. The last vehicle that I have in here that I'm pretty sure I'm going to kick is the Thundering Broodwagon. It's 2 black, black, green, green. So it's a 6 mana, 6/5 with Menace and Reach. When this vehicle enters, destroy target non-land permanent and opponent controls with mana value 4 or less, crew 3. It has all good stats on it. Every time it's in my hand, I am so quick to cycle it away. And then by the time I'm ready to recur it with one of my recursion spells, I don't care about it. There's a lot of other things I'd rather be bringing out. So if I was to cut something, it would be Lifecraft Engine or Thundering Broodwagon. It's in there for the theme. It just looks cool. Some last things I have in here is for turn 2, a Brood Spinner is a black-green with Reach. So it's a 2/3 with Reach. When it enters, Surveil 2, another way to get stuff in, and you could sacrifice it to make 1/1 black and green insect creature tokens equal to the card types in your graveyard. I don't do it so much. There have been some times where someone drops an Overlord and it makes the 2/1 flyers. I need it. Let's do it. Removal is Assassin's Trophy, Long Goodbye, Embittered Triumph. Great removal. I got cut downs in here. I mean, the whole point is to just kill things, get things in graveyards, keep things going. Crawl Cracker is the last card in here that I want to talk about. It's black-green also for a 3/2 with Reach. When this creature enters, destroy target token an opponent controls. It's all right. I haven't destroyed too many tokens with it. The big thing is it's a 3/2, so it can crew the Thunderous Velocipede and a lot of the other vehicles. It has Reach, so you could stop all these little fairies that are flying through. I had 2 in here. I did cut down to 1 to put another Haywire Might in, which goes to say I would rather have the 1/1 that can destroy any enchantment or artifact. But this deck, the win rate is very impressive. It's fine if people are killing your stuff because you plan on bringing stuff back anyway. I do have Deadly Cover-Up, which is a board wipe, and then you exile all cards of a type that got destroyed that way. It's good. This is my favorite deck to play. It's fun, it's stylish, it's silly, but at the end of the day, they do get swarmed with a bunch of insects from the graveyard that drive vehicles. So this is an awesome, fun build. It's a lot of mythics and rares and everything, but hell yeah. Oh, and Chitlin Gravestalker, a 5/4 that you can cast for 1 mana, typically, and cycle it if you don't need it to put more bugs in your graveyard. All right. And the last one that I built, which ended up being the most potent, I call this the Thunderous Terror. This was built around Thunderous Velocipede specifically because it's going to be putting 1/1 counters on everything you cast. And I built this for the fun and the lulz. I didn't think it would be that good, but this ends up being the best deck I play. It wins the most, and it's the fastest, which I thought it wouldn't have been. So hear me out. Here we go. Turn 1, Llanowar Elves. Okay, turn 2, Thunderous Velocipede, because it's 3 mana, and you already have the 1 mana from Llanowar Elves. And then turn 3, absolutely fucking anything else. So typically, my favorite thing is on turn 3, you plot the Railway Brawler, which is a 3 green green for 5 mana. You could plot it for 4. It's a 5/5 with Reach and Trample. Whenever another creature you control enters, put X 1/1 counters on it, where X is its power. Okay, you do this on turn 3. You haven't really done anything on the board yet, but turn 4 gets crazy. So on turn 4, you drop the Railway Brawler for free. And then on turn 4, you have 5 mana. So you're going to drop a Gold Vein Hydra for X is 4. Gold Vein Hydra is the card from the Thunderous Junction with Vigilance, Trample, Haste. This creature enters with X 1/1 counters on it. When this creature dies, create a number of tapped creature tokens equal to its power. Now, when you cast it for 4, its mana, it is a 5 cast. So Thunderous Velocipede will see that it is a mana value of 5 or greater and put 3 additional counters on it. So it is now going to be a 7/7. Railway Brawler is going to see the 7 mana added to it, the 7 counters on it, and add 7 more counters. It is now a 14/14 with Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. You swing, you fuck them up. They're like, we got to get rid of that. Destroy Gold Vein. You get 14 treasure tokens. You can now do anything you want with this. The next big things that are happening is, let's say instead of a Railway Brawler out, you get a Terror of the Peaks out. Gold Vein Hydra is only coming out for 7, but you're going to deal 7 damage to any target because Terror of the Peaks is a 5 mana 5/4 that says whenever a creature enters, deal damage to any target equal to its power. Gold Vein Hydra is going to deal its damage, swing out. If they kill it, you still get 7 treasures. If you have only Shivan Devastator out, it's an X and a green, X and a red with flying and haste. Get X counters on it equal to X. So again, Terror of the Peaks is out. You cast Shivan Dragon Devastator for 4. It's still going to come out as a 7/7. Deal your 7, swing for 7 in the air. You also have Terror of the Peaks. All Will Be One is an awesome card in this deck because any 1/1 counter that's put on anything, you can deal damage equal to the number of 1/1 counters. So if you have All Will Be One is out, you don't need Terror of the Peaks. Drop your Gold Vein Hydra, deal your 7 damage that way. Let's say you drop a Piggy Bank with a Thunderous Velocipede out. It's going to be a 4/3. You're going to deal the 1 damage. When it dies, you get another treasure token to keep on going. Quilled Great Worm, I added to this deck this morning. I have not tested with it in here, but I figured why not put 1 in here? This is saying whenever a creature I control deals combat damage during my turn, I may put that many 1/1 counters on it. So when I'm swinging out with the 14/14 Gold 800, if it hits and it doesn't die, it now becomes a 28/28. Those counters put on it will be dealt damage by the All Will Be One. I have a Bristly Bill in here. This is honestly not that good. He's so unimpressive. By the time I'm dropping a land and putting 1 counter on something, I don't give a fuck. What I want to do is get out Thunderous Velocipede, Railway Brawler, Terror of the Peaks, Obi-Wan, get them out quick. And now we have 4 Llanowar Elves in here for the mana. We also have 2 Ruby Daring Trackers. She's legendary, so I'm not running too many of her. But she is a red and a green that taps for red or green. She's a 1/2 with haste, so if you need to poke a little bit. But she also says, when I control a creature with power 4 or greater, she gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So even if she is just a 1/2 using for mana, later on in the game, I can use her to swing for a 3/4. She's good. Again, she's more mana. That way, if I want to turn 1 Llanowar Elves, turn 2 Ruby, turn 3 put out a Piggy Bank, and these are all ways to make sure that on turn 3, turn 4, you are getting out your Terror, your All Will Be One, your Railway Brawler, your Quilled Great Worms. The board wipe is going to be Brotherhood's End. It deals 3 damage to each creature and each Planeswalker. Most of my creatures are going to be bigger than that, and if I board wipe a Piggy Bank or 2, please give me the treasures instead. Screaming Nemesis is also in here because of the fact that it's a 3/3 with haste. If it comes in with Thunderous Velocipede, it's a 4/4. They're going to want to block this. If they do, you're dealing the damage. It's great. I have a Braids in here for the early removal. I really don't need a lot of removal in this deck because the removal will be Terror of the Peaks or All Will Be One, or the fact that you're just swinging with Gold Vein Hydras and Shivan Devastators. The last card I have in here to really note is I have Breakout, which is a red-green. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them. If that card has mana value 2 or less, you may put it onto the battlefield and it gains haste until end of turn. If you didn't, put the revealed card onto the battlefield this way, put it into your hand. 2 mana, look at the top 6 cards of your library. Get what you fucking need is huge. Let's see here. So I like to drop a Piggy Bank out because it gives it haste. So 2 mana, get a Piggy Bank out, swing for the 3 damage. They want to destroy it immediately, and then you get your treasure anyway. It is only creatures, but we're running mainly creatures, so it's good. It's a good way to just keep on looking, especially like you turn 1 Llanowar Elves, but you need more mana. It'll get you a Ruby, it'll get you a Llanowar Elves, and it'll put it out onto the battlefield. In terms of lands, I have Fabled Passages in here because of the Bristly Bill. I think I'm going to cut Bristly Bill soon. So maybe I change the Fabled Passages to just Mountains and Forests. Maybe I leave it. I don't know. They've been all right. Yeah, this is my favorite card. My favorite deck. I am having a blast with this. It's so fun to pound people down with it. Like I said, if you can plot out the Railway Brawler, and so like turn 5, plot out a Railway Brawler, drop a Terror of the Peaks, cast one Goldbane Hydra, and it's over right there. They don't really have a lot to respond to it, because even if they do kill the Goldbane, the Terror of the Peaks or the All Will Be One will be dealing the damage. And then you get all those treasures to fuck around. Worst comes to worst, crew the Thundering Velocipede with the piggy bank. Swing for a 5/5 Trampler. It'll piss them off too. I love this deck. This is my play style. I love big aggressive styles, and this really kind of hit it. So I did this episode today just because the thought of sitting down with the whole crew and not shutting the fuck up about these 3 decks that I'm very excited about and really do highlight some new cards and vehicles from the set. I didn't want to hog this whole episode, especially on the count of we're going to be talking about some big stuff tomorrow. There's a lot going on in Magic. And the last thing that we needed to be covering was my standard insects from the grave that drive vehicles and my shitty engine core deck, which I recommend trying all of these out if you can, or at least finding ways to run some of these cards, because AetherDrift really did have some wild shit in there. The Possession Engine, which is 3 blue. It's an engine that steals a creature from an opponent, and although it can't attack, it can crew the Possession Engine. It could crew anything. It's there's so many vehicles, and it was so inundating to read these all. But as I'm going through and playing with them, I am so impressed. So please check it out. While I got this, I'm going to just show you real quick the standard. Is it Slug deck, since it's already open? And I talked about this already. It's pretty much just Scrolling Crawler and Razorkin Needlehead with the Roaming Throne to double all the counters. Leyline makes them all the same creature type. Roaming Throne will double all of the creature type. These things are going crazy. I did not mention the Scalding Viper, which is the final part of this, where whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana value 3 or less, it deals 1 damage to that player. So ultimately, they try to cast a spell. They take 2 damage because it's also the same creature type because of Leyline. Roaming Throne will have it happen 2 times. Scroll and Crawler will draw 2 cards, deal 2 damage. Razorkin deal the damage, and all the time they're trying to handle this, Scalding Viper is pinging them for trying to do the removal. Razorkin and Scroll and Crawler are going to be dealing the damage. Kite Sail is a removal. I'm going to be bouncing everything with Into the Flood, Into the Royal. Get Out is a nice counter spell for enchantments and creatures. I can also bounce some of their stuff. Well, it bounces your own stuff, but it's good for the protection. 3 Steps Ahead creates a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature I control. So if like you have 3 Scroll and Crawlers out, just cast the 3 Steps Ahead, make a copy of another Scroll and Crawler. And then ultimately, once you have the board out that you know is fatal, just sit there and bounce. And then when they think they're going to swing fatal at you, I have 3 Aetherizes in here. This is in standard. It's an uncommon. Return all attacking creatures to their owner's hand. So when they swing out, fuck them up. I just wanted to highlight that one real too. No new Aether in there, but it was fun. All right, let me close this out and close this episode up. This was just a little special. I'll probably be doing this for most of the sets when they come out, because I have this compulsive order of building standard and playing the shit out of it. I want to try what's new. I want to see how they interact. And that's it, man. That was jamming Jank in standard. And tomorrow I'll probably be talking about these decks in a lot less detail. If you care, you wanted to listen to this, here it is. If not, catch us tomorrow. We will be talking about all the fun shit in the multiverse. Until then, I will cheers you with my tea. I had to be quiet today. My whole family's sleeping still. So yeah, fucking rock on, build some wild shit. Take care. Take it easy.